stakeholders that were interviewed were surveyed were residents of residents, vendors, the city council, ITT, motorists, and some individual businessmen. What we found out, the key theme that came out was that the fee is too high for people of Bulawayo to afford. The key of $1 per hour is too high for the people to afford. And then the researcher also asked for some recommendations from the stakeholders. What do you think could be done? What could be better for the solution, as a solution? It was suggested that the fee should be reduced and be smaller than $1 per hour, because there are some stakeholders who park their cars maybe for 8 hours a day. So to pay $8 for a day would be too much. And then some complaints again from the business people, for example, they will say they no longer get their customers, those walking customers. Some people just walk into the business, the shop, are no longer there because they don't have the money to be parking around the cars. And then when I talk to other stakeholders, they say some businesses are relocating. There are some buildings, for example, owned by Old Mutual that are renting offices from Old Mutual. Those businesses are relocated, are going out of town. Some offices are empty because of that. And then now, when we looked at some recommendations to say, the complaints generally also that this company is a foreign company, why should it be here, and so on and so on. On checking with the stakeholder, anyway, the partner, it was found that the company is owned by Zimbabwean citizens. Those are Zimbabwean citizens. It's a sister company, of course, in other places in South Africa. So we find that these private partnerships are very, very important, particularly in situations where the amount required for the project is very, very high. Is very, very high. The city council has been financing some of the projects through the monies, the revenue that are received from water and electricity services, which is not sufficient, not enough. So now you find also that the city council, the stakeholders complain that why would this company get 70% of the proceeds of parking, and then city council gets only 30%. On checking with the stakeholders, I found that the researcher found that actually this researcher, this partner, private partner, is the only company that allocates some proceeds to the public partner, the company that is servicing. Because what happens is, at the end of the period, the implementation, the development is going to be ceded to the city. Other projects done by other partners, private partners, they never allocate any money. For example, if you look at this road from Plumtree to Mutare, which is developed by some organization or Tiara Quarter, whoever is developing anyway, you find that the government does not get any money from it. They tax that money. They get taxes, not the allocation of fees. So out of kindness, out of a goodwill, you will find that this private partner, TTI, allocates 30% to the city council. The city council, in turn, uses that money for developing further parking bays. These parking bays are developed by the city council. So you find that the city council develops these car parking bays because of parking bays through the money, because of the money they are getting, this 30% they are getting. Now, it happens also that this project is benefiting the city in a proper, some cameras are being installed in the city, such that crime is reduced. There are ways that can be done for this project to benefit the city as a whole. You find that there are so many people who just think that they can have some projects without paying any fees for the project. But the company now, the City of Bulawayo can develop better infrastructure for it to reduce influx into the city. For example, the roads need to be repaired properly, and the cycle tracks, for example. There are some people who are able-bodied who can ride bicycles from their suburban area to the city. That can reduce influx into the city. And then the other projects could be done easily. So the recommendations that were made here were those that were given out by the stakeholders themselves and the researcher as well. And then the city council also agreed that it's a listening city council, it's a listening council. They are going to look into all those concerns by the stakeholders. For example, they are going to look into providing some privileged parking, for example, for senior citizens. And then look into also, this one is a Word document. Can you go to the recommendations, please? Recommendations. The involvement of public partnerships in doing projects requires broad consultation. That's what we've looked at. Let's go to the second one. Local authorities need to exploit the full potential of those resources that are available. There was some allegation by some stakeholders that the city council really should not expect to get maximum revenues from the parking charges, because they were saying the city council uses some of the projects, such as the facilities such as the beer garden, for example, they release them out to individuals. So the researcher had to cross-check that, and then found that that was not really the case. There was some kind of misinformation. The city council releases those to specialists such as Delta, breweries, and so on and so on. Because those are the specialists who can run the thing properly. The city council does not have sufficient time really to look into some projects that will require to follow up on the market, run with the market. So Delta are the ones who can look into the projects of beer gardens and then lease them out to them, and then they pay out some money, some rental to the city council. There was also an allegation by city stakeholders that the city council leases out some city flats to individuals who then rent them out to other individuals at high sums of money, thus abusing those resources. That also was denied by the city council. So now what happens is that these projects the city council also has some land. The land for development in the city, in the suburbs, in the city itself should not only be used for building houses, residential houses, but should also be used for building malls, for example. Some of these malls, they should be, each township, each suburb should be developed on its own, be a town on its own. For example, if Mbopoma is a big mall where there are surgeries and then malls for anything that will reduce the congestion for people coming to town. And then there are many other things that really need to be taken into account by residents. Fifthly, the local authorities should also try to make use of these, utilize the national policies that are available in the country. For example, we talk of devolution. When we talk of devolution, we mean the localization of all resources or making decisions in the local areas. You find some people driving all the way from the townships to the city center, things that they could get easily in their places. For example, if there could be some malls, even government services also could be localized. You find people coming all the way from Toloto, being up Kidabusi to line up for NASA payouts. Such things, in other words, this devolution should be put into practice. Let's implement it and do some things of that nature. That local councils should exploit the facilities for their using. For example, if there's some, before they can engage public partners, they should fully utilize and exploit these resources that they have, facilities that they have, before they can engage public partnerships. So, therefore, the most important thing is that private partnerships are important where the amount of money needed is very, very high. The city council cannot afford to pay for such services. So, those are some of the recommendations that are very, very important.
As the residents of Bulawayo, as much as we appreciate the importance of public-private partnerships, we are a bit worried about the way these contracts are brought to the citizens of Bulawayo. Let me hasten to say that we all know that for a city to run smoothly, there has to be order. And these parking management systems are not unique to Bulawayo. They are not new to Bulawayo. There are advantages and disadvantages that come with the city parking management systems. But what we are concerned about is the approach that is done or that is followed by Bulawayo City Council. And also we have fears of these companies that are being brought in or the contracts that are being signed, noting that we have terracotta that was supposed to improve Ekodini, but up to today, we are still not seeing much that is happening. So as Bulawayo residents, our concerns are not that we don't want development in Bulawayo, but we are concerned because when you follow most of the contracts that Bulawayo City Council gets into, including the ambulances that were never recovered, we become a bit worried if there is no wide consultations that are being done. With regards to 10D3 investments, we would have loved to have broad consultations taking place and information being shared with the residents of Bulawayo, wide information, so that we are not left guessing as the residents of the city. For instance, if it had not been for the residents to raise the queries, we're not going to be sure whether the company belongs to the local guy or local people, because the information that we got was sketchy. Hence, we had to make that noise so that at least we get the information that we require. And at the same time, we would have loved the city council if they had done wide consultations. Even the issue of fees or parking fees would have been discussed at length, and maybe a figure that is sustainable to the majority of the citizens would have been arrived at. But this had to change because we had to make some noise so that we can't afford to park for 5 minutes here, then park for 10 minutes there while we are being charged. Had it not been that we made noise, maybe we'll be still having the same scenario whereby you are charged every 5-10 minutes that you are parking. But we appreciate some of the responses that we are getting if we make that noise Thank you very much, City Council. If you are here, you respond to some of the things, but still the fees are very much high, because considering that some people are here in the city or parking in the city for 9 hours, 8 hours, and if you calculate that over a month, the amount is not sustainable. And maybe there's need to zone the areas, the core of the CBD, up until you reach to the periphery, so that the charges are affordable, especially if you consider that some businesses do not have parking areas behind them. And also, these shops are not owned by individuals, or not one company is operating inside the building. You find that especially in the salons, there will be 10, 20 people working there. And if all of them have got cars, they may not be able to park their cars in the parking bays behind or below. So, and also I'd like to borrow from what Prof said, that we need to understand that in Bulawayo, if we properly manage our city, we can be able to sustain the multi-nuclear model that Bulawayo is. There's no need for me, if I'm coming from Kulumane, to come and get business here. There's no need for me, if I'm coming from Ntumbali, to be able to be to always come to the city center to get some services. So there's need for devolving the services to the city center. Even these people who are selling amabele here in the city center or amatamatis, let's try to devolve that to the suburban areas. There's no need for me to be coming to Bulawayo from Makweko or from Pumula to buy amatamatis in the city center. Let's try to build a vending base that side, so that even parking can be decongested because of that devolved approach to businesses.
My name is Michael Nduen, and I am with the Bulawayo Vendors and Traders Association. Going to give my reflections on the parking system. I will start from where Mr. Dube started also, where he spoke about the issue of private-public partnerships. I will encourage the City of Bulawayo to, and its residents of course, to look at the community private-public partnership, where communities take a center stage in terms of coming up with these contracts, and also at the center of accepting or negotiating also. We know that we have councillors that we elect, but I think also there is need to get these issues out there to the community, so that actually their players will maybe reduce the noise that we saw after the parking system was introduced. So we need to remodel maybe our approach and look at the community private-public partnership, and see whether we will continue having some of these challenges that we see. And then also, I also concur with him that we need to put our pricing of parking fees, locate them in the local economic size of Bulawayo, to see whether with the dollar, in light of what we have in the city, is the dollar affordable. We don't want to appear to be criminalizing those who have cars by charging them very high fees. At the end of the day, people going to the peripheries and leaving the spaces empty, having those young people that we've employed through TTI actually failing to get their salaries by end of month because we've placed the fees so high and people are running away. So I will propose that maybe we reconsider also the dollar and see whether there will be changes in terms of the uptake of the parking fees. And then I've been also talking, like I represent predominantly people who are in business. I've been talking to some of them in town. And yesterday I was talking to, yesterday, someone also here in the city. They run a restaurant, and they were crying that their business has gone down. And then I spoke to also another lady who runs a shop that sells clothes and shoes. She was saying the same thing. And I'm wondering if Prof here, they will do a research to give us actually the comparison in terms of the incomes that people have been making before we put the parking system and now. And then that will help us to determine the price of the parking fees and the impact So what we're going to see is that we may possibly see people being laid off in businesses, going back home, replacing those young people that we are seeing manning the parking bays. So it's a vicious cycle that we like to see. So I think there is need really to look at this issue and ensure that it looks at this economic size of the city of Bulawayo. And then also the issue of decentralizing service, I think it has been overemphasized. We have Nkulumane complex, we have Ntumbane complex to start with. If you go there, banks have moved to the city, the big shops have moved to the city, and the question is what happened? So we need to revitalize those places, that infrastructure that is still good, and we will see even traffic being reduced to those areas. Those two, as a point of departure, those two malls for now. And then, of course, when we plan for new cities, we need to, I agree with Dube also that that we need to think about the malls. And then also, I wanted to propose also the parking system to look at a model that is a prepayment system, where people are allowed to buy spaces, particularly those that are working in these iconic buildings in the city, where they can prepay and have a package that they pay for 3 months, 5 months, or a year, than to be prepaying every day. I see that I have a minute, Mr. Moderator. Please allow me to round up. And also, I think we need to also to be alive to the impact of COVID to the business. 2 years, businesses were closed, people were not working. And when they're starting to reopen, then we put $1 that they have to pay, which is $8 for 8 hours. I think we just need to rethink about that, also the impact of COVID, and gradually perhaps then begin to maybe increase, but in light of the impact of what COVID did to most of us. I think most of us here are victims of COVID. And then also, I think it is important also to think other models. There are people who are selling in carports, I think it has been mentioned. People who are trying to also earn a living in light of the economic challenges. We need to ensure that we avail the spaces for them to trade. But I'm also going to propose that maybe we need market days in the city. Incentivize people who park, maybe block the road for maybe a Saturday, block this road, and people come to do their business, a market day of some sort, as an incentive to people who are parking, to also make money on weekends. Yes, there was Eko Kotama, we have Highlanders, but I think a model around the market day, if it's done even monthly or something, but I think that also helps people to begin to appreciate the city that is actually thinking about their economic challenges. And then also, this is a question that I want to check in terms of security. Is the parking guaranteeing security in my car? What could also incentivize people who are parking? I think there is smash and grab that happens that we see as modern. Ngile guarantee that if I leave my car, I pay $1, it's safe. I'm asking this. And also, I would have loved also, Mr. Moderator, rather, to also hear, I heard that there is more beneficial of comments here, to hear their perspective in terms of the impact of the parking system and also their proposals. Because I don't want to say that we don't parking, we need it because this is a best practice, or I would say it's a good practice, not the best, all over the world. But I think we need to locate it in the economic size. And then also, I would want to understand the timelines in terms of investing back to communities. TTI takes 70, which they meet overheads and also salaries and also paying back. I want to understand in terms of their timeline, when do we expect to see also this investment coming back to the community in terms of repairing of the roads? I've been reading about that. I'm not sure it's true. Of course, we have seen an element of what I would call maybe a semblance of corporate social responsibility where they're giving some food hampers. But I think in terms of their core, when do we expect to see this reinvestment?
The concerns from business are that the price model that was used by City Council or TTI, there wasn't enough consultation that was done. And the pricing system that was done, which is $1 per hour, it has actually resulted into being an additional transaction cost, thereby affecting business and the price of commodities that the the stakeholders might be wanting to transact at a particular time. Because if you check right now, since I'm happy Simbisa is available in this gathering, by 8th Avenue, there's been greater loss of business. All along, council used to engage stakeholders. I'm sure we all know of the annual Open Street Mall that usually takes place in December by 8th Avenue in Jasomoy. Stakeholders used to be engaged and consulted, but for this particular instance, this particular topic, even us as ZNCC, we were not there in that stakeholder engagement that is claimed it took place. Most premises are now left idle. That is First Mutual Life building by 10th Avenue. We go to Pioneer building, as well as the Old Mutual building by 8th Avenue. All those premises have been left vacant. Companies resorting to go and situate themselves out of the CBD, thereby affecting their businesses. Business has greatly been affected with this new parking system. So I'll be happy if City Council or TTI are present in this meeting so that maybe they can advise the stakeholders how they arrived at the $1 parking model per hour.
Prof. Khumalo gave us a study, a neutral study in my view. I read the paper. Unfortunately, his slides betrayed him. But in terms of the balance, when you read the paper, and it will be made available to all of us, very balanced. Balanced because I believe personally in innovative financing mechanisms. If we are not going to do or come up with methods to raise funds to build our cities, we are wasting time. We are wasting time. Now, if you go around the world, Southeast Asia, for example, or up north, Rwanda, people are building. The cities are coming, smart cities, future cities. And they are not building those cities based on rentals, not based on rates. No. You need to get money. Money from the capitalist, money from the rich, money from the business. Take the money from the business and build the city. Guys, go to Kigali. I do teach a class in Kigali. I'm not talking about theory. I'm talking about something that I know. I teach students there who are doing policy studies. Some of them are here who are doing policy studies here. And in Rwanda, I know that cities can be good when there is innovative financing mechanisms from the policy thinkers, policy shapers, and policy-making institutions. So City Council, don't just believe in PPPs. Look for many other methods, man. There are many more methods. In Ghana, in Nigeria, they are into gaming industry. Serious stuff of raising funds. So we need the City Council and the business community, civil society, and everybody and residents to challenge ourselves to create this town called Bulawayo into something else, into the state of the art, kind of. And let's move forward. We are in the era of the fourth industrial revolution. Yisikati sokudevelopa developer. That's why I was saying to my other colleague who was saying, Tichingo tonga. I said, no, Tichingo develop. Not Tichingo tonga. We need to be developing our cities. So that for me, I thought I needed to say this. But there are concerns, and legitimate concerns, serious concerns that should be taken into account by this partnership. I think the issues, though Usmanda really tried, and I think we need to thank him, he really tried to unpack, but still, Usmanda and TTI, you need to listen to the voices of the ordinary people who are saying the dollar is high. Yes, in the past, we had that method, but it was in Zim dollar. The method that we had in the past was in the local currency. But these currencies that we have, we can't print the US dollar. And our returns from outside the country are very low. We are relying on remittances. Amadola niwabona phandle la. Amadola abantu abenu, obhuti benu abawathumezayo besebenze nzima ngale. So we need to listen to the concern, particularly of the pricing. That is very important. The other one is for City Council. Listen to the concern about consultation in your next project, because we need to have many. Don't stop. Let's have many more business people coming in. So, but consult. The gentleman there said, please, they were not consulted, but they are representing residents. They are representing business, representing vendors. Consultation is the art of development. Seriously. If you are not going to consult, even if it's a good thing can be a very bad thing without consultation. Cabanga ukuthi wathi uyafika ngikhaya uthole sokuthenga imoto entsha, unkosikazi ethenga imoto entsha wawuyazi. Consultation is important. I think for me that's important. The third one is, if those funds, the 30% that is coming to the City Council is going to be reinvested on the roads. That's important. Ngoba kwezinye indawo uyathola ngathi esuku uyapendwa phezulu kwepothole umzila so. So if the funds are not used for consumptive purposes, ayikho sizaba imali yokuhola. Seyizathatha imali emgwaqweni lana sisiba ngama salaries. No, you can't develop cities like that. So let's get that money and reinvest it onto our, let's not do like Zinara. Zinara is collecting money emgwaqweni la. Every day we toll gates we are collecting money. What to tell umgwaqo ufile mazilisi. But imali yangena so. Monies are getting in, but nothing is going on onto our roads. And so the City Council and TTI, can you learn from that? Let's plow back the funds to the roads. Then the communities will see the value of paying. The motorists, the commuters will see the value of paying. The fourth one for me, I was really worried when the project started. Really terrified. I don't know. I was really concerned because it was like there was securitization of the program. The young men all over, I mean, it became a security and a threatening of the residents. This area here is a problem. It has got a history. The history is that people in red berets and those uniforms have created problems in the past. So if I see them around all over, I get worried when they are coming to me. Immediately I say, okay, I'm pensive and defensive already. So, but I'm a people also So but there was a problem. It was like weaponization or weaponizing and securitization of the parking meters. That was not on. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I think the study by Khumalo, if it's made available to all of us who will see the pros and cons, he really raises the problems. He really raises the brighter side. The brighter side is there, the darker side is there. So you need to have that kind of a thing. And let's continue to have these kind of conversations because they're important, and let's take into consideration some of the recommendations that are made. There is nothing wrong in raising dust. If dust is raised, please, those that are receiving dust, make sure you respond positively. These are communities. They mean well. It's their town, it's our town. We all mean well.